What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Dead Noise. I'm Chris, and thanks to the power of Zoom, I am speaking with Jack and Alex from the UK-based alternative metal band Acres. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
So far, so good.
Good.
Like we said off camera, I love the new album. I'm really excited to talk with you guys about it. So, first things first, the new album, The Host, it's out May 2nd via Solid State Records. One thing that stuck out to me the most was the turnaround between writing and recording it and releasing it because like you said it's normally around a year, maybe longer for a lot of circumstances, but for you guys you recorded this in October. So and for me that feels like it was just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. Same.
so, was there any like anxiety with such a fast turnaround and like you said, not being able to listen back to it so much? Just trying to make sure like, oh, is it really done? Are there any like last minute tweaks that can be made? Anything like that?
There was a lot of anxiety building up to it because we had just done the EP, that which came out. I think that came out in October,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah,
while
like
we
whilst we were
were,
there, I think it
yeah,
was yeah.
so we worked on the EP like any band would. Like we had the songs for a little while, and then Landon hit us up, well, hit our manager up and was just like, I don't want the guys to worry about demos. I don't want them to worry about writing. I just want to do it add do it there.
Which was terrifying.
Yeah, it was like it was like a massive relief off of my shoulders because obviously there's nothing worse than having deadlines to meet and knowing that you're not there yet.
Hmm.
So part of me was like, oh God, I don't need to worry about writing anymore. And then the realization was, oh shit, what if we don't get it done? Do you know what I mean?
For real. I remember being told that and was like, I think my words were literally like, "Is he insane?" I was like, "That is mental." I was like, he doesn't know what we're like as people, and I sure as shit can tell you, if we get told not to do anything, we really will do nothing, and there'll be like no ideas at all. It was definitely like a tense plane ride over where we all kind of just sat there like, we're definitely coming back with like a song. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember everyone on the plane was just like freaking out. And then I just had this like moment of clarity where I was like, do you know what? This is gonna be fine. Like, and then I only had 2 weeks to write like guitars with me and the other guitarist, Ash. We were there for 2 weeks and we did like 14 songs in 2 weeks, which is insane. Like if you put a gun to my head and was like, right, write a record in 2 weeks now, I'd probably just ask you to kill me. So
Well,
yeah, I have no idea how we did it, but we did it, and it's probably the funnest recording experience I've ever had.
that's a
Yeah.
perfect transition into another question that I had for you was how different was this experience compared to that of your last album, 2023's Burning Throne, especially working with Landon from The Plot and you and if I'm not mistaken, you guys lived at the studio basically, right?
Yeah, we were like an Uber driver away.
So what was the making of this album like compared to previous efforts?
Well, Burning Throne, I think I wrote uh, maybe 26 songs for that record, and it was
Freeman had a
just
nervous breakdown.
yeah, it was just me and Ben writing at that point, really.
Mm.
We didn't have a second guitarist. It was just me and Jack was
I was
like,
like new to the band. I hadn't really
yeah, Jack was pretty
been in a
fresh. So
band before.
Jack,
Yeah.
you had a hand in a couple of the songs, but then when it came to studio time, you got COVID, so you couldn't come.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it was
Brilliant. It
just
was that
it was
era of like COVID where like I just wasn't allowed anywhere. Yeah. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it was just me and Ben and the producer in the studio doing Burning Throne. We were there for like a lot longer. We had the whole of lockdown to write it. So I overwrote and we were like still finding our feet after our old guitarist Theo left, who was like the main songwriter on the record before Lonely World. So it was just a very, very weird time for the band because we were still figuring out like, do we still want to do this? Are we willing to do this? Like we've just had the pandemic off. we're waiting for the government to say that we're allowed to socialize before we hit the studio. I was had nothing to do for 2.5 years, so I was just writing and writing and writing. And when we thought we had a record, our lead singer Ben wasn't that stoked on most of it. And there's a part of me that was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is insane. I'm not going to write another record. But then there was a part of me thinking, what else am I going to do for the next year? So yeah, it was huge, like vastly different. It was like I overcompensated on Lonely World to make sure that because it was like the first time that I was like the sole songwriter.
Mhm.
It was like my baby, and I wanted to make sure that it was like the best that I could do at the time. And then the host was like, I got it done in 2 weeks. Well, we got it. I'm making it sound like we got it done in 2 weeks. Like Landon was incredible to work with. Like just
He's just
got the
like
best. Yeah, he just got the
he's
best out
loving
of
it.
us
Yeah.
somehow, mostly through laughing at us. Like,
We're terrible musicians. You have to
yeah,
remember this. We're awful. We're awful at all of our instruments, and he's like a freak of nature at everything. So we would do something thinking we were doing like the best take in the world, and I'd turn around and Landon would just be like in tears laughing at us, being like,
yeah.
Like, how are you a band?" That's what it felt like. I'm sure he found it like, I'm sure there was like a reason for his laughter, but it felt like he was mocking us, and we kind of fed off of that, and it was good. It was like a good relationship if you always wanted to like do better and up yourself and like keep it going. It was great.
Yeah, you wanted to laugh at him. You wanted to be like, fucking laugh at me
Yeah,
now.
I wanted him to make a mistake so bad.
Yeah.
Staring at the Sun is one of my favorites off of the album, so I love the fact that it's a single. When I was listening through it, I was like, "Oh, this is my favorite song." From the very beginning, even with the singles, I was like, "Oh, this is my favorite song." No, this one's my favorite song. The whole album. Um, but I feel like after listening to it a few times, I feel like I've nailed it down to two. And they would be Your Goodbye and Not So Different.
Mm.
So I'm kind of curious, like, do you have any stories from the making of those songs that really stick out to you? Any memorable moments from those two?
Your Goodbye was Landon made me do everything that I hate doing on that song. And I was just protesting the whole time. He was like, "Oh, you need to do like these certain chords that are all the way through." And I was like, "I'm not, I promised myself that I'm not going to do these chords because it's like what we've been doing for such a long time." I was like, "I'm not doing it. You can't make me do it." And he was just like, "Grow up." And I was like, "All right, I'll do it." Just stuff like that. And then Not So Different. There was parts of that song that we've had for a little over a year because we were told that we should probably write an album by the powers that be. So we thought we would be adults and rent an Airbnb and like start a writing process. And it turned into us writing like 3 1-minute demos and making our old drummer eat sandwiches until he threw up.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So Not So Different was in like a very, very early stage during that writing process. And then when it came to like the first day in the studio, Landon was just like, "What do you want to work on?" And it was like the only thing that we could show him that we were like, "This is kind of cool." So it was the first song that we did in the studio, and it like set the tone. We were like, "Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
we can do this now." Do you know what I mean? Like we finished that song collectively to like all of us just sat there being like, "Oh yeah." I think the only thing that stayed the same was the intro, right?
I think so. I think so, yeah. All I can remember from Your Goodbye, and I think this is the same day where Ash accidentally took like 4 Advil PMs and died,
Yeah.
which was sick.
Yeah,
He had a headache, and we were like,
I went
"Take
to the
this
shop and bought what I thought was just
just
normal ibuprofen,
paracetamol or whatever." Yeah.
and then yeah, spiked him.
And then we made him drink a massive Red Bull to like counteract the Advil PM.
Oh, of course.
He was fine. He was fine. He hasn't been the same since. He went like non-verbal for a bit. It was mad.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, he was just like he was in a different like world. He was like, yeah, speaking in tongues. It was mad.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what that would feel like, and it's not very pleasant.
No, our
Yeah.
logic was like you've taken the ones that make you feel sleepy. Drink the big Red Bull and you'll feel normal.
Hmm.
Uh, if
I mean,
anything, yeah, you
I
probably just
mean, in bro science, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
yeah, yeah. We're just a big band of bros.
Now, what can you tell me about the album art? Because I know you guys are very big into horror films, and I love asking about album art in general, but this cover art feels very horror inspired with the tone and the colors and everything. What was the vision or overall message that you were trying to convey with the artwork and how it coincides with the music?
Yeah, I think so. I obviously like we're massive horror fans. Like all of us love our horror, and I've always wanted to kind of inject that into Acres somewhere. But this has been like the first record where I've really been able to creatively help with lyrics, and like I had an idea pretty like straight off the bat when we were doing Bloodlust, the song. I was like, this like feels spooky. It feels weird. Like I'd love this to be a certain way and shot a certain way. And we toured with a guy called Jamie previously, who's like very good at all like spooky and like extreme looking photography. And we like knew he'd be like a pretty good fit off the bat. Um, and I wrote a lyric about like the host, and it kind of stood out to me. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a fun name for an album. But I didn't want to like I still feel like I'm treading on people's toes when I do creative stuff for this band. And I want Ben, like our singer, to like do his thing. So I never want to be like, it should be called this. I think you should sing about this. So I kept it to myself for a bit. And Ben asked me if you got any album names because he was like, I've got nothing. And I was like, well, I've got The Host. I think that kind of fits really well. And it, especially lyrically, it kind of works well with a lot of different things. How do you feel about that? And he was like, yeah, I love it. And instantly we were talking about artwork. And I was like, I know I'd love it to be like a building that can like metaphorically represent like a body or a person. And there's like something going into that building, whether that's like a demon or light or whatever. Um, and we gave Jimmy that brief and he sent us this photo back, which was that gnarly looking church with the little character or the host that we have kind of throughout the videos. And it's kind of all intertwined. And that shit kind of gets me off when everything's intertwined and related.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, I love it. All the little details, like everything's there for a reason, and that's kind of the nerdy stuff. Like, you know, like when you see a film and then you have to like Reddit search about the film afterwards, and there's like a thread about things you've missed.
Yes.
That's the kind of shit I want, where people will watch the video and be like, "That's cool," and then they'll watch it again and be like, "Oh, I didn't see that." And then there's like loads of things, and yeah, I love that stuff.
I love that bands are doing that now is now more at a higher level with between you guys and Ghost and Ice Nine Kills and the
Yeah.
Funeral Portrait and all the bands that like are obviously there've always been very aesthetic driven bands, but as far as lore and actual like storytelling from album to album, even if it's just visual with the album covers, I think that's super cool to see more bands doing that now.
Mm. Yeah, I think it helps. I want to. Like album art's so important, and I know people know this already, but it's like literally the first thing you see before you hear anything, before you
Hmm.
even like you know what the band sounds like. You look at this thing, and if it entices you and makes you want to pick it up and be like, "What's that all about?" That's all I want. I don't want it just to be like a random photo or like a random piece of art that means nothing. Like it needs to kind of intrigue someone, and that's what we tried to do with this for sure.
I think I was talking to in another interview, I was talking to somebody about album art because I'm such a nerd with albums. I love asking about the artwork. So someone said that they asked themselves, what do we want the music to look like? And I have never thought of that before,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that's like the
that makes
perfect
sense.
way to describe it. And
Yeah.
I
For
think that's
sure.
awesome.
It's like a massive important thing that I think nowadays bands are clued up on, but like there was an era where the two things just did not meet and match, and I really don't like that. I want the songs to sound and look the same, if that makes sense. It's makes sense in my weird autistic OCD brain where I'm just like, yep, that's that thing. That's I mean, maybe writing a record that's like black metal and branding it as like a hip hop thing would be insane and it probably works. It's so adjacent, but yeah, I think they need to complement each other massively.
Absolutely. Now, I think it's time for us to transition into what we're all here for. Off camera, off camera, we're doing a lot of horror talk, and Yes,
Finally.
the album's amazing, but let's talk horror.
Mm.
Absolutely.
I already have a bone to pick with you, Alex, because you said off the bat that Scream's not the best franchise. I need to hear your explanation why.
We've discussed this heavily on tours as well. Like it's something
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. So I think the first three, amazing. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like it's very like tongue in cheek. I think the scary movie ripping off Scream was such a weird move because obviously it doesn't take itself seriously at all. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then with like the newer ones, the Jenna Ortega era, I just felt like it became a parody of itself again. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, but I like
That,
that. I loved
yeah.
it.
So my
Yeah.
my beef was it with it was I thought like obviously in the 90s there was this thing that a lot of people were doing where it was like tongue in cheek, but it looked cool, and it was very like not taking yourself seriously, making fun of all of like the classic slasher tropes and stuff. And then with the new one, I just think they've just pushed it a little bit too far, where it feels almost like a scary movie. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I
So
can
yeah,
see that.
that's my beef with. I love like the original era, like the first lot. But then when it was like the Jenna Ortega and the chick from American Horror Story, what's her name? Um, Emma
Emma
Roberts.
Roberts.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like those ones I like. I've watched them all and I enjoyed them, but I just didn't think they hit the same as the original ones.
I agree with you to a certain extent because I also believe that the original trilogy is the cream of the crop. Like you can't get
Yeah,
any better than those, especially now that Wes Craven's gone. No one's ever gonna replace him and replicate what he did. That being said, I do really enjoy five and six. Four, I'm always hit or miss with. Like I understand it, and it was very ahead of its time. However, it's just hard for me to look at because it's so hazy. It's got that 2010s look to it, and I just can't
yeah,
stand it.
yeah,
But five and six, they're fun. They have their moments, but like you said, it doesn't hit the same as the first three.
for sure.
Mm. But as a franchise and like a brand, I'm all about it.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
spend
absolutely.
I'll spend yeah, whatever money it is on memorabilia and shit. I don't give a fuck. I
You
love
and
it.
me both, for
Yeah. Yeah, it's so
obviously.
sick. Yeah.
Um, That's a really good point though, because as a franchise, I firmly believe that it's the best slasher franchise for sure, just because it's so consistent. And in my opinion, like the worst Scream sequel is still better than the best sequel of most other slasher films. And this
Yeah.
Yeah,
is coming from someone who loves Hatchet, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, and Halloween. I could take it or leave it. Like the first ones are great, but the rest of
Yeah,
them.
I think the Halloween stuff now, like I've seen all of them, even up to like the brand new ones, and
Mhm.
it's like even like I like the Rob Zombie one. I think that's kind of cool, but
yeah.
the I don't know, they're just beating the same drum, aren't they? There's nothing
Say
new,
yeah.
the same thing. It's
Same,
legit the same film every single time. It's crazy.
same with Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? You've seen one, you've seen them all.
yeah. The tonal shift between the first and second Texas Chainsaw Massacre still gives me whiplash to this day. Like, I can never have a proper marathon of that franchise just because it's so one way and then the other, and it just messes with
Yeah.
my brain.
The like
Yeah.
the remake was kind of sick though. The one that was out like a couple years ago.
2003.
No, there's like
Yeah.
a
I like
is
that
there like
one. That one was
a
cool
newer
because it
one as
had,
well.
yeah, it had that like early 2000s like grime, but it was also like I really like the sepia tone. Like,
Mm,
Hmm.
like the hot sepia tone gray is sick.
yeah, I think like that era, because you had that. Wasn't that the same time? It was around the same time as like Freddy versus Jason and the Rob Zombie Halloween, right?
Mm,
So they were
yeah.
all around the same. That's when every horror movie had like a new metal soundtrack on it.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Freddy versus Jason still has the best soundtrack, in my
Oh,
opinion.
unbelievable. It had,
One of the
yeah.
best, yeah.
I
The,
love
the
Scream 3 soundtrack, but that was a
Mm,
little bit before then. But as far as like the late 2000s, early 2010s, no, wait, no. Freddy vs. Jason was 2003. Never mind. Yeah,
yeah.
that's one of the best ones in my opinion.
mm.
I think Curveball, I think the best soundtrack to any movie was probably the first Twilight movie.
Oh no, or Matrix. The first Matrix was
Oh, oh yeah, it had
unbelievable.
like fucking POD on
It
it. It's
was
like
it was pretty sick.
See, I can't judge the Twilight soundtrack because I've never seen the movie or even looked at the soundtrack, but
first soundtrack incredible. Like Paramore have like three songs on it, and I'm a
wow.
massive Paramore
That
fan.
MCR on it as well. Is
Yeah,
MC? Yeah.
I need to
yeah,
check this
and
out.
like Bon Iver or Bon Iver. Yeah, the first soundtrack is incredible. Movie trash.
Now, what's your favorite score from a horror movie? Like the orchestral music. Do you have a favorite?
I think I do. I'm trying to. There's a couple. I like how this is such a like obvious answer, but I really like how Hereditary is scored because there's not much going on, but every time the lady is on, like the mum is on camera, there's this horrible noise that you do not know is there until you press pause, and then you're
Hmm.
like, oh, it's
Yeah,
so
like
clever,
the
and it makes you feel so tense and like irritated. And in the cinema, I was thinking like. I can hear the movie next door. I was like, it's really pissing me off because I can hear the other movie. And then it changed scene, and I was like, it's always on when like the mum's on the camera. It's so good. Like
I
Ari
would
Aster, like, he's a genius. I think he's very clever and one of those people where everything's there for a reason and there's so much shit you don't even know is there. That soundtrack really impressed me. And I don't know if it's a horror film, but Jaws because it's like iconic and kind of two notes and super intense and yeah, it's pretty clever.
I would say I think modern horror has I think like taking the music like I think yeah like the Ari Asters, the Robert Eggers and stuff use music and scores in such an incredible way. What is the I can't think of the name. It's absolutely doing my head in. The ghost one where
Oh, sick.
dude, what is it called? I'm gonna punch myself in the face when I remember the name. The
Uh,
At the end, they go into like the other dimension. There's a demon that looks like Darth Maul.
oh, Insidious.
Oh,
In,
Insidious. Yeah,
the music
with
in
like the
yeah
weird strings and shit.
yeah
Is
the
that
Yeah.
music in
Wan?
Insidious is incredible.
That's James Wan, right? Or
I
Wan?
think
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a cool franchise to be fair. It was something that I didn't that and like Conjuring franchise. I didn't think I liked it, and then I always go back to watching them. I was like, oh, they're kind of cool films. They're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I dropped off The Conjuring after the second one.
the UK one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the best. It was in England and
yeah
relatable.
the what's it called? The place in London.
That
Dude,
house, I can't remember the name of the
yeah,
house, but it's like a
what's it
really,
fucking
really
called?
famous horror house.
Yeah, with a little
Freeman.
girl the little girl
Yeah,
that
Freeman's had an
was,
aneurysm. I can't remember anything anymore.
dude, I am cooked.
Yeah.
Um, I I think it's interesting. Like, I'm glad you mentioned Jaws, Jack, because
Mm,
no, number one, yes, that is a horror movie, in my
yeah.
opinion. I feel like anyone who doesn't think that is insane.
I mean, it ruined swimming for me as a kid. Like,
Yeah,
I was
me
terrified.
too.
But I'd be going into like the sea in the Isle of Wight, where in England, where there's no sharks in the Isle of Wight. But I'd be like, where the fuck is he? Like, yeah, I'd be terrified.
I was in like an oversized kiddie pool at like 7 or 8 years
Yeah,
old, and I would be like, "Where is it?
yeah.
Where is
Although
it?"
Final Destination ruined swimming pools for me as well when the guy gets sucked into the terrifying. Yeah.
Final Destination 2 ruined driving for like a whole
Oh
generation.
yeah, yeah. The like the
We
logs
literally, yeah, we had this conversation the other day.
on tour. I was like, don't go
Yeah,
behind that guy. It'll kill us.
Yeah,
I, I think that number two is the scariest movie ever made, just because of the pile-up scene.
Yeah.
that
It's emotionally scarred me for life.
I
Do you ever
don't
sit
blame you.
there and like wait for like when you go on a plane or a bus or a train? Do you ever wait for the premonition where you're sat there and like it's coming, coming? I'm just waiting for the premonition just to warn everyone, like get up.
Every
Yeah,
time
you're
I'm
like,
stuck at the same stoplight on the way to work, I'm waiting for that premonition.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
waiting for the
right.
radio to change to the song. That song's cool. The one about like someone coming behind you and creeping up on you and shit. That's very cool.
That's
Scary.
true.
Yeah.
Um, I'm actually seeing Jaws in it's not in the theater, but it's in like a performing arts center. They're playing with a live orchestra.
Sick.
for
That'd
like
be
the
well good.
50th anniversary this summer. And
Mm.
I've seen Jaws so many different times. Like I've seen it obviously in the comfort of my own home. I've seen it in the theater. I've seen it in IMAX. So now getting to see it with a live orchestra is going to be
Oh, that'd be
incredible.
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think creature features are my favorite horror films. I think they're like the
Mm.
most fun. I think yeah, like monster movies and creature features are the ones for me. Like I'm a big werewolf guy.
I was I'm so glad you said that
Yeah.
because my favorite score aside from the Scream franchise obviously is Silver Bullet.
Oh,
Uh
Oh,
incredible
fair.
film.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
that was
Actually,
actually
now we're getting on 80s, The Lost Boys, man. Unbelievable.
Mm. Very good.
The Sexy Sax Man. That song, I've forgotten the name of it, but
I still believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
so do you fuck with video games?
Not extensively, no.
Okay, so there's a video game called Sekiro, which is like one of the hardest games ever made. And I was on the final boss, and my best friend Jordan came over, and obviously the lyrics of the song are well like triumphant and stuff. And we had that song on repeat until I beat the boss.
That's fucked up.
That's amazing.
We listened to it about 25 times, like no shit.
Gee, I wonder why this song is like 5 hours long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'd just be like, every time I died, he'd be like, right, Siri, play Still Believe.
Repeat.
The sexy sax man is a really cool dude. I got to meet him at a horror convention. It was
Oh, no
actually the
way.
very first one I ever went to. This was back in like 2017,
Mm.
and the line it was on a Sunday, so it was the last day, and a lot of people had already left by that point. So there wasn't a lot of people like in his line. And being a former band kid myself, like him and I just had a conversation about music and performance for like 30 minutes. It was insane.
That's awesome. But yeah, I
Um,
think yeah, Lost Boys is one of my favorite movies ever, period. I think it's just perfect. I think as far as like a modern vampire movie goes, it's definitely one of the best.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
remakes, not so much, absolute garbage. But I mean the second one, was it The Tribe where they brought Corey
I've not
Feldman
seen any
back?
of those ones. I've not
you're
fucked
not
with those.
missing
The
much.
No.
there was parts of it which was cool because like the Frog Brothers are the best thing about that movie.
Hmm.
Yeah, the first one just has such a special place in my heart. Like, I think I own it three different ways on DVD. Like, I was obsessed with that film. I had it on VHS as well. Like, I grew up watching that movie, and like the doors on the intro when they're like driving through Santa Carla.
Classic.
Oh,
Yeah.
that whole like bit, and then they end up in the house with the granddad. That bit is like that's probably one of my favorite because it's all candid, isn't it? It's all real. It's everything that happening in that like montage is actually happening in real life, and I think it's
Mm.
really, really cool. I love like 80s, 70s, 80s horror is I I
It's
try
got
to
that like little bit of like tackiness to it, but it's kind of nice. Like that
yeah. And
almost
I
looks not
think
tack is the wrong word, but like the budget isn't like crazy. The effects are like very like real. Then nothing's like faked or anything. It's very cool.
yeah, I think actual uh what do you call it? Practical effects are
Hmm.
Yeah,
the
practical
best.
effects. That's what I wanted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
practical effects are the best. And I think like yeah, 80s horror had that like campness to it, which I really fuck
Mm.
with. And
American
like
Werewolf in London.
oh,
Mm.
incredible. Yeah.
Very sick.
I feel like that's one of those movies where it's kind of like Jaws or The Exorcist. It's like a lot of people, it's a lot of hardcore horror fans don't really talk about it much because they talk, a lot of people like kind of give credit to like more obscure titles because it's like that movie is so good. Like, what else can be said about it?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just a good film. Like it's
yeah,
great.
Yeah, I think the best thing about American Werewolf in London is you don't see the monster until the end, like Jaws and all the greats. Yeah, and The Exorcist as
Yeah,
well. I
it
think
lets you like
obviously
stay
Jaws,
behind
yeah,
you.
Jaws, American Werewolf in
Oh,
London.
Exorcist soundtrack. That's insane.
Yeah,
That's like legendary. Super iconic.
I think
Chief
those three
Charles,
build
classic.
they build up to the like you get like the grand surprise at the end, and the end
Big
scene is just
reveal. Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
when you when you mentioned Hereditary and how it's kind of there's not a lot of music in it, but when it does that's exactly how I feel about The Exorcist.
Hmm.
And I also own that in multiple formats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same with the all the Universal monster movies and The Exorcist. Those are the only films that I have multiple copies of. Um, Honestly, I didn't care for Hereditary when it came out. Like I saw it in the theater, I didn't love
Yeah.
it. The after after talking to other people about it, like I understand what they were going for, but it just I don't know, maybe I was just not paying enough attention or if it just
Yeah,
wasn't
I
my
think it got
thing.
like I think what annoyed me about it is it got kind of picked up by the pretentious horror people and they like put it on a pedestal and I was like, it's great. I think it's very cool and it's super clever and I think Ari Aster is an incredible director and he's like got great ideas. But I feel like same as like bands, there's certain bands that get picked up by like the gatekeepers or the like trendy people and it kind of ruins it for me. I'm just like, I mean, it's good, but come on, I think you're like
Yep.
blowing smoke up his ass for
Yeah,
no reason.
it's
Yeah.
definitely like the uh single origin coffee IPA of horror movies right
Yeah,
now.
but yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it's very cool. It looks great.
I
It
yeah.
builds suspense. It's weird as fuck. I think I preferred Midsummer still though. That was like even weirder in a cool way for me. Like it was a really uncomfortable watch, and I really enjoyed that film.
I need
Didn't
to
did
watch that.
did you
Oh,
check
do it.
out
It's
did
great.
you check out Sasquatch Sunset yet?
No,
No,
it's
not
still on my
yet.
list.
Oh,
I need to see this.
Same.
Yeah,
incredible. I bought it on release week because I'm like a Bigfoot nut. It's like
Okay.
I am obsessed with
Freeman
Bigfoot.
loves Bigfoot. Like as much as I'm
Like
obsessed with like aliens, Freeman's Bigfoot. Yeah,
yeah,
I've
I
gone
just
Sasquatch hunting before.
have
oh,
you?
Yeah.
very sick.
Tell me everything.
There wasn't much.
That was always the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like it. I don't know how I got into it. It was like I
Probably
remember
weed.
like yeah,
Getting
weed
super
weed has a
high.
big weed is the reason I'm still into it. But
Yeah, that's kept
um,
you in.
I remember going to my mum's friend's house when I was when I was really young, and they had like cable. We didn't have it, and I was watching like Discovery Channel, and I was like six maybe, and I remember just turning on like Discovery Channel, and it was like this thing about Bigfoot, and they showed like the Patterson Gimlin footage, and I was like, oh my fucking God, what is this?
I need it.
And then yeah, and then I was like, oh, Bigfoot's cool. And then I remember when Finding Bigfoot came out, and it was fucking a joke.
Yep.
I didn't fuck with it at all. And then I discovered podcasts, and now I've probably listened to, I don't know, 2,000 podcasts about Bigfoot, maybe.
Jesus.
So
Yeah.
you think that's a lie? Like I can fully back that up. Where we'll be going to bed, and I'll be like, "What are you doing?" He'll just be like, "Bigfoot." He'll just be asleep with like earbuds in, just like listening to like Bigfoot. We play them in the van as well. Like we'll be driving, and we'll put like
Yeah.
some sort of conspiracy podcast on, and just all listen intensely.
Yeah.
Um,
Every night I go to bed. If I I'll show you. If I go on my podcast app, it's disgusting.
I listen to rain noises. Freeman listens to Bigfoot documentaries.
Yeah, so I got like
Whatever works, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh
all
my
of this.
God.
That's unhinged.
Yeah, like there's more. It keeps going.
Have you ever listened to the What's Up Weirdo podcast?
Yeah, yeah, dude. Any horror, conspiracy, ghost story, Bigfoot, fucking dog man. I don't know, Loch Ness, all of it. I just love it, and it's all I encounter. It's just people fucking lying, but I love listening to
But
it.
the lies are so like
Oh,
unhinged and
yeah.
outrageous. You're just like, yeah, of course this has happened.
I'm just like, yeah. You
So
remember
good.
exactly. You remember exactly what gun and ammo you were carrying.
Yeah, it's
Can't
so specific. You're
remember.
just like, you couldn't, yeah.
Yeah, you can't remember what this thing looked like. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just stuff like that. I am obsessed. I think it's just fun to listen to, and it's like obviously as you get older, all of the mysteries of the world disappear because you just get callous and bitter. So
Yeah.
listening to not so intelligent people talk about how they came across a monkey in the woods while they were hunting is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I don't want to spoil anything, but you might really enjoy.
He's not real. Yeah, yeah.
No, you
Like,
might
Don't
really
fucking
enjoy
say it.
the, the opening to the new Wolfman movie.
Yeah.
Kind of has like a Bigfootish kind of
Oh, sick.
quality to it because they're in the woods and that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Then there needs to be a good Bigfoot horror movie that
I'm
like
so surprised there's not been like a mainstream person pick that up and try and make it
there
work.
there was one that didn't do that well. It's called Exists. It's by the guy that did the Blair Witch Project. It's like a
Oh yeah, I
found
know.
footage Bigfoot movie. But there's a lot of really bad ones out there.
Mm,
Legend of Boggy Creek fucking rules. That's a
Yeah,
great film. Um, the rest of them not so good. Exists is fine because it's like it's just the Blair Witch with Bigfoot. Like
yeah,
yeah.
I might have to check that out.
yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, the rest of them are absolute trash.
Do you have a favorite subgenre, Jack?
Subgenre. Um, I was big into like I don't know if it's a subgenre as much, but like big into like the cheesy early 2000 horror films like House of Wax and stuff like that. I was kind of big
Oh,
into that, like almost like teen horror-esque stuff I really liked. Just because it's easy to watch and you don't have to focus on it too much, and there's like a jump scare, something gory, and then you can just mong out again. But I wouldn't say I have a necessarily like a big favorite of like a subgenre, no. What about you?
I'm torn between like you, Alex, with creature features.
Mm.
Um, but a good slasher never hurts. Like
Yeah, slashes are great, yeah.
especially now with what Terrifier's doing for the
Dude,
scene, it's
yeah.
unbelievable.
The new one was like we went actually me, Ben, and Landon went to the cinema whilst we were over in America to see that together. Yeah, so sick. Very cool.
I think I saw it in the theater twice. Like I couldn't
Yeah,
get
it's
enough of it.
great. Yeah.
I went the very first night when they were doing the double feature of two and three, and
Oh,
then
sick.
they did the Ice Nine Kills video like after the
Oh
two
yeah, true. They did
movies.
the soundtrack. Yeah, that video is nuts.
Oh yeah, dude, I didn't get home till like midnight that night, but it was so worth it.
Yeah, I bet that's a long haul.
So do you guys keep up with new releases? I mean, it sounds like you do. Are there any upcoming horror movies that are on your guys' radars?
The new
Final Destination. I can't
yeah
wait for it. It's gonna be sick.
and the new A24 Unicorn movie looks
Oh
ins
yeah. What's that called?
Death of
uh
a Unicorn?
yeah,
Is it?
that
Yeah.
looks wild.
Yeah, it's mental. I literally saw like that the other day, like just on my like news feed or whatever. I was like, oh, sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I saw the trailer and was just like, I'm in.
Trying to think
Like
of other ones, but I can't think of.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Does Jurassic World count? It's kind of scary.
I mean,
Scary.
yeah, I consider Jurassic Park a horror movie, so
Me too.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, new Jurassic World I'm in. I've seen all of them. I've seen every single one at the movies. So
yeah.
I'm not good. And they always come around my like birthday, so it's like a special treat to look forward to.
like you said, Jack, before we start recording, we could probably just do a whole podcast just
Dude,
about horror
horror or The
movies.
Simpsons, and I'll be there all day. Like I can talk about those two things for ages. Yeah.
I think when October rolls around, I'm gonna have to do something. Because I've come across a lot of bands that are really into horror, so I might just do an interview series with musicians strictly about horror movies.
I feel like it goes hand in hand with the genre though. Like
It
anything
does.
abrasive or like aggressive, you're gonna meet people that like abrasive and aggressive cinema. Like it just makes sense. It's like the extreme.
That was the whole reason I started Dead Noise was because I love both of them
Mm.
equally, and those are like my two biggest passions. And I knew the fan bases went together like bread and butter, basically. So I was like, why not do it? And yeah, last year I did this video with a friend of mine, Nate from Mirror Cell, and we talked about our top 10 favorite underrated horror movies. So I
Mm.
might have to do something like that this year. With you can get a bunch of musicians together and like every week have another conversation about a different horror movie. Because I could talk horror with you guys all day. This has been so much fun.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Um, but before I let you guys go, this is my favorite part of every interview. I have a speed round for you. So I might do something a little different. Normally, I just have 5 questions and they're all relating to music. And if I talk to someone a second time and I know they're into horror, I'll do a horror speed round. I might just do 10 questions, half music, half horror. Um,
Yeah.
and we'll start if you want to answer first, Jack, and then go to Alex. Just answer the same questions, just starting with you, Jack. The first
Yeah,
one, your favorite song to play live.
Built to Bleed. We've been playing it new without it being released, like on the last tour, and it's sick. So much fun. I play one note throughout the whole song. I can do what I want. It's incredible.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. Vote to bleed.
Not just because of the note. I think it's just a great song. Like I'm very passionate about that song. I think it's like
Yeah.
very, very good fun to play live
It's the
and to
chorus.
listen to.
It's the chorus. The chorus just
Hmm.
does it for
Yeah,
me. Like it's so good, and I just have to. I saw a video. I watched it like a full set the other night. Someone filmed the last set in
by yourself in a dark room, just
yeah, just
screaming
studying.
your own name.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
just
would be that.
studying, just being like. But yeah, I just came across it and I was like, oh yeah, let's check it out. And I think I touched the neck once in that whole chorus because it's all just open. So I was just
Hmm.
like, yeah, I don't need to just throw myself flailing around like an idiot.
Your most embarrassing moment on stage.
Oh, I've got a great story for this, but this is not Acres related, but Freeman knows the story. So me and Alex have known each other for years, and we've toured with each other in like various bands. And one of my old bands in 2013, maybe 14, a long ass time ago, I did a tour with Alex, and I was a singer in a band,
Hmm.
and we played this place in England called Guildford. Like it's the middle of fucking nowhere. No
This
one's turning
fucking
up. It
story.
was like the back of a pub. And there was we were playing and we were just playing to the band we were on tour with, and there was no one there.
Hmm.
Literally no one there. Apart from the sound man that didn't want to be there, but he had to be there. Um, I was playing, I looked at Freeman, I was singing, and for whatever reason, my knee just dislocates. Halfway through the set, I eat shit, fall to the floor. Like I was so confused, like, what is happening? I was like, what is going on? And I look up and I can't stand up because my knee's fucking backwards. And I just look at Alex and I'm just like, what do I do? And I played the rest of the set, stood up and popped my knee in myself and just carried on doing the tour. And turns out
Jeez.
it's an old rugby injury that I had. And it will just randomly do it, and it did it then, for the first time properly. And yeah, it was probably the most embarrassing. I think it's more embarrassing because there was no one there. So it's like if there was loads of people there, it's kind of embarrassing it happens, but it's like double embarrassing that there's nobody there. Your friends are just there, and then your leg explodes.
Let me add to this story. Jack looked at me and just went like,
Oh yeah, I
and
just threw the
and
horns up. I was
then
just like,
like as a joke, and then just fucking folded in half.
yeah.
And then I saw what happened. I was like, fuck, and I went over to pick him up, and he was, and then he
Leave
just kept
me,
on saying down the phone, down the mic, leave me.
leave me, just leave me. I wanted to die. I was like, just leave me,
Oh
please,
my
fucking
God.
leave me.
It
That's
was
probably my
so
most embarrassing moment on stage.
the
Uh,
venue was so big
yeah, I've got another one
that
as well. That was
yeah, the
recent.
venue was so big and there was no one there that we decided not to play on the stage. So Jack just spent the rest of the gig like leaning against the stage singing.
Nursing my knee. Yeah. Sure. I've
Jesus.
unplugged like people have watched me bend down after we've finished playing like a set, and I've unplugged plugs thinking they were my plugs, ripped them up, and it's just been like someone else's shit, and they've just looked at me and I do not know what I'm doing. I'm just like, oh. But apart from that, I think that's probably the most embarrassing thing personally. The knee absolutely exploding when I was about 17.
God, I don't know how you're gonna follow that up, Alex, but go right ahead.
Yeah. I don't think I've got one.
I'm
Have I
trying
ever
to
That's
done
think.
good.
anything about I stood on a pint glass once with
Oh,
no shoes on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so when I was like a kid, when I was like yeah, like 17, I was really into like the whole like Confide,
yeah.
MySpace, Oceana, like who else was big back then? All the dudes that dressed like surfers but didn't wear shoes on stage.
Hmm.
So I had
Confide.
like long hair, like
Yeah.
I had like the skinniest jeans in the world, no like playing barefoot with like a tank top on with my guitar down to my knees. I thought I was like this shit. And I remember getting on stage in this pub, and the landlord was just like, "You're not going to put shoes on? Are you an idiot? There's glass here." And I was, yeah, and I was just like, "No, I'm good, man. You don't understand. I'm cool." And then yeah, I stepped off stage and stood right on a glass and exploded into my foot.
Told you so.
But
Yeah.
there was no one there again, so it was yeah. This was like we played to like we made people leave their local pub because we were like kids just playing
Oh,
like metal.
love
So
those shows. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it wasn't that embarrassing because there was no one there to see it. But yeah, being there to watch Jack fold in half and
It was embarrassing for me. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
it
And I'd
was
only just
and
met these guys. Like I was
yeah.
like new friends with them. So it was a double sword inside. Yeah. It
We'd known
was
each other for 2 days and we were like just been like, yeah, I think this guy's cool. And then
not
saw
anymore.
him
He's
do,
got weird
yeah,
legs.
yeah,
Can't be
saw him do that, and I was like, I
can't
don't
be
know if I
friends with
like
him
this.
anymore.
Don't know if I like this
Yeah.
freak anymore.
But I like punched it back in and continued the tour. So
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
yeah,
Nah,
ain't
nah,
no
fam.
bitch.
That's crazy.
On the same tour, had we played this venue in Carmarthen and in Wales. If you probably don't, yeah,
Middle of nowhere, Wales.
it's a made up place, and
Should
there
not
was a
exist.
lady, like no shit, there was a lady in a tutu that kept on trying to feed me water while I was playing guitar. That
Yeah,
was
she would
pretty
like stop
embarrassing
the
for
band, like
everyone.
offer you water, and you'd be like, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't need I don't
Mid-song,
need."
like, who the fuck is this chick? Like,
Yeah, I'm real.
Oh,
yeah.
goodness gracious. Your dream tour lineup.
For me first,
Yes.
any genre,
Hmm.
Green Day headlining, but they're only playing from 1990 to 1997 songs. Then it would be, this is mad. It would be Green Day headlining, doing that era of music. Then I would like the UK rock band Squeeze. You probably don't know them.
I do.
Call the
Oh,
cat.
I would like Squeeze to be playing all the hits, and then it would be Acres, just so I can enjoy Squeeze and Green Day, like relaxing. Underneath Acres would be Title Fight
Why the fuck would we play after title fight?
because they'll hype me up to play. Do you know what I mean? This is in a world where like nothing
Okay.
like yeah, they'll hype me up to play. Underneath Title Fight, I want Boy Genius to play. This is like an all-dayer. I'd like Boy Genius to play. Then I would like. Oh, this is hard. I want Trash Talk to open because they're the best opening band of any tour because they're psychopaths and they don't do a lot anymore. Okay, it'd be Trash Talk, Boy Genius, Title Fight, Acres, Squeeze, Green Day, I think, off the top of my head.
That's really solid.
Yeah.
Christ. I have to
I'd
follow
like
that.
Machine Head, but there's just no room for them in there as well. That's like maybe there's a side stage with Machine
The
Head.
Machine Head stage, the
Just Machine,
Blackening stage.
just Machine Head. And oh, and I'd like the Misfits as well. Dude, there's so many.
Oh,
Misfits are a band as well, like obviously the horror thing.
yep.
Yeah. It'll just be a stage of Misfits. It'll just be Misfit stuff.
Trying to think who I like who's like headline. Bjork headlining.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. And then it would be who else do I fuck with at the moment? Uh maybe like I'm just trying to think of huge bands that are like headline worthy. Um then Architects, but just doing Ruin and Hollow Crown.
Mm.
And then I would have Under Oath doing Define in full, front to back. And then mm, do you ever listen to the band Emmanuel?
Not extensively, but I know of them.
Yeah, like they were like used the used esque. They were like a band for like two records. I always wanted to see that band live, and they just disappeared before I could. So I'd want to see Emmanuel. Emmanuel could open because no one knows who the fuck they are.
Mm.
Um, I don't know who else I like, man. I don't like music at the moment. I've been around it too much. Um, can it just be Bjork play everything and then Acres open? Actually, because
That's totally fine.
yeah, let's just do that because the more I think about it, the more I just don't like heavy music at the moment.
I'd like to get rid of Squeeze, and I'd like Misfits to be main support to Green Day, but just the Danzig era, please.
Hmm.
That would be my sorry, Squeeze. But I
Wait,
looked up and I saw a Misfits thing on my desk, and I was just like, I have to mention the Misfits.
let me have a look because I feel like my answer is absolutely a cop out, and people
It's a hard
care.
question. That's like
Yeah,
something I
people
think
actually
about
care about
all the time.
music.
Yeah, think about all the time.
Um, I mean, who the fuck do I like? Okay, right. Bjork, Circa,
Mm,
and then a band called Proceed, who one of the
great.
best UK bands ever, and they only released like one EP. It's Dan Lancaster, who's like a massive producer now.
Mhm.
His band, Proceed, and then Acres, because do we have to play?
I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Okay, I'll play so I can get backstage and hassle everyone.
That's the
Um,
spirit.
Everyone there. Yeah.
and then it would be maybe Thrice. Yeah, Thrice, Under Oath, Circa, Bjork, Acres, but not in that order. Acres open, then Under Oath, then Thrice, then Circa, then Bjork. That would be mine.
That's solid
Solid.
too.
Yeah.
Your favorite thing to do outside of music?
Uh, what is outside of music? No, I like walking my dog, watching films, and like as a job, I'm a graphic designer, so I do a lot of like art stuff. So I just like being creative and drawing weird shit and having fun. And cooking, love cooking. Yeah,
I
making
like
some.
eating.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Come round. I'll cook you a meal.
Yeah, I would say cooking. I love fishing. Big fisherman. Um, what else do I like doing? Listening to Bigfoot podcasts. But I do that in music as well. I do that every night of my life.
That's I mean, it doesn't. It's still outside of music. There might be some overlap, but that still counts.
Yeah. And do I do anything else?
I'm really boring. I do
Yeah,
not
dude.
a lot.
Same.
Yeah.
Taking baths. I love taking
Oh, dude, a
baths.
bath
You can't do
slap.
that on the road.
Fucking love a bath.
The last question for the music side of this, the song you wrote that means the most to you.
Mm, I'm gonna say welcome to the family that isn't out yet, but keep it in. Fuck it.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna say My Everything from Burning Throne
Yeah.
because I
Nice.
think that's done like the most without even being a single. And when I wrote that song, I just felt like it was gonna be something. Do you know what I mean? It
Hmm.
felt special to me. And and that was like the first song that we all collaborated on, like me, Jack and Ben. Because Jack wrote all the hooks for that song.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Jack during the whole Burning Throne era, Jack came down to my house with Ben and we spent like a weekend and we I wrote my everything like instrumentally and then Jack and Ben came down and it was like one of the songs where it just felt like really good at the time and yeah, I love playing it live. Um yeah, and it's doing really, really well, and a lot of people like it. So that's a pretty nice moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And now for the horror side, your
So,
favorite slasher.
can I say Scream? Is that allowed as a slasher?
Yes, absolutely. It's the goat.
Is the ghost like Scream then? I didn't want to over say Scream, but yeah, let's say Scream.
Well, I know that won't be Alex's pick, so I think you're
Yeah.
good.
I mean, it might have to be because we just talked about how it is better than every single slasher.
I mean, some of the Nightmare on Elm Streets are pretty good, like the OG.
Yeah, the first one is incredible.
Yeah.
Where he's got like the long arms and he's walking down like that
Yeah.
bit's fucking.
The phone at the
Actually, yeah,
top.
yeah, I'll say the first one because I think the scene when the chick gets pulled into the bed
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's
and all
Johnny
the
Depp that gets pulled into the
yeah,
bed.
yeah, Johnny Depp gets pulled into the bed and the chick gets cut up on the ceiling
Yeah.
Yep.
Very sick.
and
And the bath shot.
the mum gets pulled through the window that's this big and she's clearly a fucking blow up doll. That bit's sick.
Very
Um,
cool.
yeah, I think Nightmare on Elm Street was probably it's probably my favorite slasher.
Your favorite Universal monster?
Dracula, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's
Like shit. It's
Wolfman.
cool as fuck.
Yeah, the Wolfman. I think the Del Toro movie wasn't shit either. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I
I think
rewatched it for the first time a couple months ago, and I was like, it held up a lot better than I thought it would.
the end fight with fucking hairy fucking Hannibal. Nah, but the rest of the film is incredible.
Yeah, that I forgot all about, like you said, Harry Hannibal. Um, well, to that point, then, the next one, werewolves or vampires?
Vampires.
Werewolves.
Remakes or sequels?
Oh.
Oh, remix.
No, I'm gonna say sequels if they're good and make sense because
Ah,
remakes piss me off most of the time. And I feel like it's a cop out and everyone's just doing it's just remakes nowadays and it's bullshit. Like use your brain and write something else.
okay, yeah, I changed my mind. Jack's convinced me. But the Invisible Man remake I thought was
Hmm.
Yeah.
incredible.
There's some cool remakes, but I think if a sequel's good and it hits and it's like clever, sequel all the way
I
for sure.
but yeah, but horror sequels are notoriously bollocks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the hardest question in the world.
I feel like you might be onto something though, Jack, because if you're just by the numbers, obviously I haven't done the math, but I imagine the ratio of good sequels to good remakes, it's obviously in sequels' favor. But also because um I always think about in the 80s, like you look at The Fly and The Thing, those were remakes and everybody loves them.
Yeah,
But
it's very
obviously
true.
like the 2000s remakes, they're all hit and miss.
Yeah, it's
Um so I think the ratio is a little skewed to sequels being more solid. So I'm, I was gonna say remakes just on account of The Fly, but I think I might have to go with sequels too.
I mean, I think the only time sequels are good is when they're like blockbuster sequels because the amount of like B, C movie sequels that come out, you're just like, oh, remember that film? Yeah, we did a
Yeah,
bullshit version and called it number two is
yeah.
insane.
We'll go all the
Like,
way to number nine or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, like,
Like The Exorcist.
Yeah,
yeah.
dude. Just like
Or like The Crow, there's like four that were like straight to fucking video.
Hmm. Well, and the last one, this is always my favorite one, and I'm always curious to hear to hear people's answers. The one horror movie that left the biggest impact on you.
The Exorcist, it was the first one I ever saw. I remember being 11 or 12 years old and I was around my mate Charlie's house and his mum had it in her like video drawer and he was not allowed to watch it and she fucked off to bed and we put it on and we watched it and I remember being genuinely terrified and I felt so like A terrified that I'd like lied to an adult and been like done something behind their back
Yeah.
and B I watched this like fucked up thing and this girl's head spinning around and there's vomit coming out and I was really confused and I was just like the fuck is this? There was that weird like the demonic statue. Like everything was so new and terrifying. Similar, like it had the similar response to me as when the first time I put on like Iowa by Slipknot when I was like again 11 or 12. It was so abrasive and weird.
Hmm.
I just didn't know how to feel. And I remember just like looking at Charlie being like, the fuck is this? Is this like legal? Like what the fuck is this? I was so young. So I'm gonna say Exorcist for sure.
I mean, I started young with horror movies. I was really lucky when my parents just I was feral. They just didn't care. They just opened the door and let me out like a dog. And then like I'd watch like R-rated movies like far too young and stuff. So like I was pretty lucky in the fact that like I got to I remember like seeing Blade like when it first came out, just
Mm,
shit like that. And like, yeah, I saw The Exorcist really young. I saw I think The Lost Boys is up there, but also I think the one that had the biggest impact on me was Paranormal Activity
Hmm.
fair.
because
That film pissed me off.
Same.
I discovered that movie when around about the time that I like really got into like smoking weed when I was like 16, 17.
That would do it.
And and it was before my friend just downloaded it off the internet, before any trailers, before anything. Like we didn't know if it was like a real movie or not. We didn't know anything. It went in completely
Yeah.
blind. It was like the first, because there's three different endings, isn't there?
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's like
So it was like the first one. It was like it was unfin. You know, you could download like movies on the Pirate Bay or whatever before
LimeWire.
they even have like effects and stuff.
Yeah.
I
It was
forgot about
that.
that.
Yeah, so we watched that version and I was like insanely high and just didn't know if it was real or not. Just really confusing, just being like, what the fuck am I watching? Do you know what I mean? So, and then I remember when it came out and then we went to the movies to see it because I'd seen it like twice already. So I discovered it by accident, like completely unaware of what it was. Then started seeing like the trailers for it and I was like, oh fuck, it I've seen that film. Like, and then me and like 10 other friends went to the movies to see it. I didn't tell anyone that I'd already seen it. I saw literally five people leave like ran out the cinema because they were like freaked out. So it was what, do you know, like The Exorcist, where everyone
Yep.
was like throwing up in the cinema and leaving. And like you hear about that when you're a kid and thinking like, whoa, that's crazy. But like seeing that for the first time as well was just wild. And being absolutely aware of what was going to happen next and just looking around and just being like, I can't wait for everyone to shit their pants.
I didn't
Yeah, I
fuck with them.
think yeah. I think they're terrible films now, but like that just like finding it by accident, finding like a pirated version, having no information about it, being like just getting into like smoking weed for the first time and watching this shit was fucked up. And then getting to enjoy it, other people seeing it was like super fun.
I think of recent as well. The Substance really fucked me up. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
That's probably recently where I watched a horror film and afterwards I was like, that was mental. Like, what a fantastic film. Very, very cool film. And like the little references to like Kubrick and The Shining and like the way it was shot was like sick. It's super, super unsettling. I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going to the Hollywood Walk of Fame straight
Yeah.
after seeing The Substance was
Where's the
sick.
face?
Yeah,
Where's the face?
right. Where
Yeah.
I've
I
changed
was
my
like,
mind. I just remembered something harrowing. Have you seen Antichrist?
yeah, I'm
I watched that fucking movie with my mum.
I'm
sick.
sorry.
The opening scene is penetration.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
and then yeah, when she like jerks him off until he comes blood, I was just sat there with my mum like,
Pretty scary, this, right?
you're cool. This is cool, right? Like
I would never recover from that.
it was it was sick. I
Jeez.
remember just like going to bed just being like, I hated every second of
I
that.
fucked up.
Dude, I keep on remembering stuff. Actually, the fourth kind terrified me.
Yeah,
You,
that's terrifying.
I remember because I lived in like the middle of nowhere at the time, and I had like a little annex on the side of my parents' house. It was like a house connected to a house.
Hmm.
And I remember going to bed, and it was completely silent, and I heard an owl just before I was about to go to sleep, and I was just like, I am fucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Too many. I think horror is so good because it does last. It leaves like a good one will last a leaving impression on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's why anyone I think that's why people love it so much because it's not like a Ben Stiller movie where you're just like, haha. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's
It's
also
just
just
like, yeah,
exciting and it feels like it's just nice to watch something that makes you feel something where you're just like, it's this like weird like mood or vibe and it gets you talking. Like I've seen countless comedies and I can probably think about five that I'd like to talk about and be like, that's funny, but they're all the same. But there's like a good horror film is yeah, you'll talk about it for ages.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll bring
as
it back.
evidenced by this interview.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, dude, I can't wait to talk with you guys some more in the future. We definitely gotta set something up at some
absolutely.
point. But for now, this was everything that I had planned for this interview. Was there any closing message to any Acres fans that are watching?
Remember that we did actually talk about music at some point, and I'm sorry
Yeah,
that we got off track.
yeah, yeah. Please remember, there's an album somewhere coming out.
All right.
May 2nd, The Host, out
Yeah.
via Solid State Records. It's probably one of my favorite releases of the year so far that I've heard.
Oh,
And
sick.
I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you guys right now. But yeah, definitely go check it out. And thank you guys again so much for the time. This is probably one of my favorite interviews I've done.
Oh,
This was a
sick.
lot of
Oh
fun.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having us.
Of
Yeah, it's been
course.
awesome.
Thank you guys. And to everyone who watched this, thank you for watching. And until the next interview, stay tuned, stay scared, and I'll catch you later.